about new topics every week that relate to self-development, self-healing, living, and in some way we connect everything to your overall well-being and mental health. So we are in show mode, so for anybody who's gifting or commenting, thank you, we appreciate it. We'll go through all the gifters at the end of the show. Thank you guys for being here. I'm seeing some faces I haven't seen in a while, like Artemis. So glad to see you, Artemis. Saw Kim roll in. Today's a really cool show, guys. So we're going to be, if you were here last week, we talked about time management, and we had Chris Casper as our featured guest. It was a really good show. I recommend, if you'd like to rewatch that or any of our past episodes, to go into my name, and my YouTube channel is in there. We have all the past episodes on there. This week, it's kind of cool, because I think it kind of ties into time management a little bit. We're going to be talking about self-care. But before we get into the what's the, I'm trying to use these phrases, these metaphors. I'm not going to even try. I'm just, before I fail at it, I'm just not going to try. But before we get into the show itself, we do a segment called Tell Me Something Good at the beginning of each show, just to kind of see let's highlight the positive stuff that's happened to us this past week. So what's going on with you guys? Tell me something good. So for me personally, if you've been keeping track of me, I had leg surgery, a really intense surgery 2 months ago, and I'm 2 months into my 6-month recovery, and they just let me ditch one of my crutches, and I'm 100% weight bearing now on my left leg. So we're moving up. So that's my positive thing that has happened this week. New job in new city. Let's go, Cap. Cap is one of our guests tonight, everyone. So make sure you hit Cap and Kim Possible with that favorite. You'll be seeing them probably halfway through the show. I'm putting you on the spot, Sammy. Tell me something good.
Oh gosh, something good. Something good. My cousin's son celebrated his 2nd birthday, so we had a fun little birthday party for him.
Yay, that's good. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
I made people cry in breath work, which is good.
Yes. I love making people cry.
Oh my gosh. I'm glad to know what you really like to do with your job, Sammy. I'm just kidding.
Jay Marie is getting back on her workout after a couple months. Get it, Jay Marie.
Yay, good job. That's awesome. Yeah, thank you guys for sharing everything that's going on with you guys. We like to kind of just see what's going on with you guys, because we're in it together. That's the point. That's why we do the show. So thanks for sharing, guys. So our next segment is Tip of the Week with a mental health therapist. So Sammy's got a new tip for us every week. It doesn't always relate to the topic, but what you got for us this week, Sammy?
So this week I have make a list of who your people are. So your people you can text, your people you can call, your people you can say, hey, let's go for a walk, let's go get some food, whatever kind of people they are in your life, make a list of them. Because sometimes when those negative thoughts kick in, whether it's depression, anxiety, whatever, it makes you feel like you don't have any people. So sometimes if you have that written down, you can say, wait, I do have people. Let me run through this list and find someone that I can go, get some support from. So, and that could even be professionals in your life too, if need be, or crisis numbers, all those kinds of things. So all the supports you got. So
that is a good tip.
Who your people are.
Thank you, Sammy. That is a good tip. I don't know if anybody else can relate, but I know when I get into those really bad depressive states, sometimes it really is easy to feel like you're totally alone, but you're not. So yeah, I like that. Thanks for that tip. That was a good one. So for those of you who are just tuning in, my name is Gabby, and this is Sammy J, mental health therapist. And together we do this show called In It Together with Gabby and Sammy every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So on our show, we talk about self-development, self-healing, happier living, and we have a new topic every week. We relate it to mental health and general well-being. Last week we talked about time management last week with Chris Casper. This week we're going to be talking about self-care, and it kind of really fits into the time management thing, and you will find out how that fits in very soon. But thank you all for being here. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the gifts. We are in host mode, so if we don't acknowledge all your comments, unless there's a segment where we really want to interact with you, don't be offended. We love you. We see you. We appreciate you for being here. So if you're new to the show, hit a 1 in the chat. And if you were here last week, hit a 2 in the chat, or if you've ever been here. Lexi, is this your first time in my show? There's no way. You're lying. So we got some new faces, we got some old faces. Cool. No, it's okay, Lex. Well, thank you for being
That
here.
works too. Thanks, Beth.
Yeah, make sure you favorite me if you'd like to come back for future shows, and also favorite Sammy J. Not only is she a professional, but she's a live streamer, and you can catch her in the mornings, most mornings at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you ever have any questions, or you just want to pick her brain, or you just want to hang out and have fun, definitely hit her with that favorite. Okie dokie, guys. So let's get in here with the true and false question. We're talking about self care today. So true or false? Self care is only important for people with mental illness. True or false? Okay, good. I'm seeing a lot of false. You guys are right. So Lexi got it right first. Congratulations, Lexi. You so smart. Lexi's so smart. So yeah, false, guys. So Sammy's gonna tell us a little bit about what self care is and why the answer to that is false.
Yes, yes. So, technical definition is the ability to have a healthy relationship with yourself by taking care of your mind, body, and soul to improve your quality of life. It's about taking action to reduce your stress and restore your energy. It also means having to make difficult decisions for yourself, like asking for help. Um, but everybody's self care looks different, and we're gonna touch on that throughout the show. So that's a really important thing to remember, that self-care can look different for every single person, but the goal is it reducing your stress and giving you more energy? If it is, then you're probably doing something that's pretty helpful.
Yeah, so that's self care, and that's self care, guys. But I'm gonna point something out really quick because I think a lot of us think that self care is selfish, and it's not. Self care is super vital to our overall well being and our mental health. And this kind of goes back into Sammy saying, the question said, self care is only important for people who have mental illness. So that's false. We all have mental health. Rather, you are, someone who has depression, or you literally are just floating on through life without a mental illness. Shout out to you guys, by the way. I'm pretty jealous. But I know some of you guys are out there. So yeah, self-care is not selfish. It's super vital to your overall well-being. So it self-care is about enjoying life. Self-care is about reducing your stress. It's about feeling energized. It's about connecting with your family, your friends, your loved ones, your community. You're connecting with your culture, and it's about being able to handle your emotions if you're ever in a situation where maybe you're feeling with like a lot of anxiety or a lot of like strong feelings that maybe aren't super positive. So we all need to recharge in order to be able to be the best versions of ourselves. So like Sammy said, self-care is different for everybody. Your self-care might not be what my self-care is. And we'll talk a little bit about that. And if you're just tuning in, I'm sorry,
I was
Sammy.
just going to say, I will say the biggest group of people that I have to have that conversation with is parents. I tell my parents all the time, it's okay for you to be selfish sometimes. Be selfish, because ultimately that's going to help your relationship with your kids. If you're taking care of yourself, if you're not taking care of yourself, your kids are going to be affected. So please be selfish sometimes.
There you have it. And you know what? If you're just tuning in, this is In It Together with Gabby and Sammy. I'm Gabby. This is Sammy. We're talking about self-care today and how it impacts your overall well-being. And Sammy's going to give us some stats and facts. And I think that you'll see a little bit of that parents' self-care type of thing in these stats and facts.
Yes, yes. So, all right. Two, 2/3 of Americans don't practice self-care, y'all. 2/3. 2/3 is what? 66.6666666%.
Oh my gosh.
That's a lot. That's way more than half. Way more than half y'all don't practice self-care. That's a problem.
Yeah.
Only 30% of people take time for self-care, which makes sense because it's kind of the opposite of that one. 67% of people care about others over themselves. So again, more than half y'all are putting everybody else first and putting yourself last. Sometimes that has to be done, but that doesn't have to be the case all the time. You have to figure out, when do you put yourself first sometimes too. A third of people feel guilty for taking time for themselves. So again, that's kind of what we were talking about before. So again, that's a pretty big portion, 33%. Feel guilty for taking time to themselves. Don't feel guilty for taking time for yourself sometimes. Those in relationships take less time for self-care, That's about 30% of people in relationships take time, compared to those who are single, which is about 40%. So neither one of them you are doing a really good job, but yeah.
Let's be honest.
Apparently relationships make us put our self-care on the back burner, and I'm sure we've all been there before, where we say, well, I want to support my partner, so I'm gonna put them first and not put ourselves first. That doesn't help your relationship any, y'all. It doesn't.
True.
And if they're asking you to do that, you might want to reevaluate some things. I'll throw that out there.
Facts.
51% of people in America feel burnt out. Can we get a 1 if you're one of that 51%? Because I definitely am there most of the time.
Yeah, who's burnt out in here? Be honest. So many of us.
Those who are parents feel more guilty about self-care. That's what we were just talking about, right? 39% compared to those without children. Wow, my eyes just went real bad. 26%? Is that what that says?
Yep, that's 26.
I couldn't tell if it was a 6 or 8.
You need some glasses.
I need to take some self-care and go to an eye doctor.
Yeah.
And then out of the generations, the internet generations feel the most overwhelmed. So we have Gen Zs, which are 1997 to 2012. At 76% of them feel more overwhelmed. Millennials, which is 1981 to 1996, at about 67%. Gen X is the 1965 to 1980 at 68%. And then boomers, 1955 to 1964 at 47%. So
I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of surprised to see that Gen Z is even more overwhelmed than the millennials. I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of surprised by that. But you know, there's probably a lot more pressure on Gen Z with social media and stuff. We kind of,
absolutely.
The social media wasn't super big for me until I was like already in high school,
Yeah, I was just getting started, MySpace, Facebook. That was all like when I was hitting high school. So I at least got through my middle school years without social media. I see kids now in late elementary school and middle school worrying about how many likes and favorites they got. So
yeah, they probably like want more validation for their worthiness through it, more so than maybe a lot of us. But yeah, so who's Gen Z in here? We have any Gen Z in here? I'm just curious. And a 1 if you're Gen Z.
1997 to 2012.
Lexi's almost Gen Z. She just missed it.
Chris, you are not Gen Z.
Yeah, you were capping, my guy. Well, if you guys are just tuning in, this is In It Together with Gabby and Sammy. I'm Gabby. This is Sammy J, mental health therapist. And we do the show on Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have conversations about self-development, self-healing, and happier living. And today we're talking about self-care. So far, we've covered what self-care is. We've had some stats and some facts. Next, we're going to talk about benefits of self-care. And then after we talk about the benefits of self-care, we're going to talk about why aren't we practicing it as much as we should, as you've seen by those stats. And then we're going to have our featured guest join us. We're going to have Cap in the Box, followed by Kim Possible. We'll end the show with another pop quiz, and then some tips on how to take care of yourself through self-care. And this also, if I have any anxiety folks in here, anybody who has an anxiety disorder, or if you just have a job where you have like high anxiety and you need to like kind of snap back into reality and take control, stay tuned for the end because we have some tips for that.
100%.
All right, so benefits of self-care. So there's a lot. So obviously we talked about being able to handle our stress. So if you practice self-care, your capacity to actually handle stress is going to be a lot greater. So maybe if you're the type of person that easily like is irritated and you snap out pretty easy, self-care would be something for you to maybe try to add into your life because handling stress is already rough in the first place without self-care.
They did a really fun study about this, kind of in a different context, but they did this really fun study where they gave people like really hard, complex puzzles that like stressed them out. And then at the end, they offered them ice cream, and most of them did not resist the ice cream, because just that stress like it just makes it hard for us to like control certain things. So those are really fun.
Oh, I hate puzzles. Was it recorded? I'm just curious. You see the people really like damn it, darn it.
I
don't know,
mean,
that would be me.
I'm sure there's recordings somewhere. I don't think they're public because of
Yeah, but that'd be interesting. So yeah, a greater capacity to handle stress if you practice self-care, increased resilience. So you're more likely, if you were to fail at something, you're more likely to get back up and try again, versus if you don't do self-care, you might be like, whatever. So
yeah.
it's a negative mindset to have. So self-care can help with that. If you have mental health illnesses, self-care is probably pretty obvious. It can help decrease some of those symptoms that you're having. Um, Self-care encourages self-improvement through your overall health in general. Obviously, taking care of yourself physically is a part of self-care.
Right.
You can, like Sammy had mentioned, your relationships will either maintain or improve healthiness if you continue to practice self-care. Your self-esteem is going to be increased, your overall self-awareness is going to be increased. So when it comes to self-esteem, you have to think about it this way: if you're not already doing the self-care stuff, and so all of a sudden you're doing doing these things, like running a bath for yourself or exercising, whatever it is, you are saying to yourself, hey, I'm worth it. I deserve this. I deserve this. And you all do. We all do. We deserve self-care. It's something that we all should be doing. I know I'm at fault for not following through with my self-care stuff, but yeah, just imagine if you maybe have low self-esteem, you would be surprised to see the difference in your confidence. And of course, self-awareness. So we all, rather you know it or not, I think we all probably do some sort of self-care. You may not realize that it is until we kind of talk about what it is in more detail. But you have your go-tos, but this is a good opportunity to kind of broaden your horizons and say, okay, maybe I could try yoga with Artemis and see if that's going to be a new type of self-care that works for me. So something to
Exactly.
keep in mind. So yeah, improving our overall mindset, we're going to be able to also take care and love our friends and families better, and maybe in ways that we didn't know we could. Because you should be taking care of yourself before you take care of others. We're going to mention that an awful lot. So
Yes.
yeah, those are some benefits of self-care. Do you have anything else to add, Sammy?
I just like the saying of like, I forget exactly how it goes, but essentially, like, if you don't take care of yourself, who else is? Like, you can't depend on anybody else to take care of you except for you. So,
Yes.
you know,
And I
engage
have
in that.
I have some quotes throughout the show that I really like, and I'm going to share with you. Artemis might
Yay.
already be, she might already know what quote I'm going to be quoting soon with the cup. But yeah, so if you're just tuning in, this is In It Together with Gabby and Sammy. I'm Gabby. This is Sammy J, mental health therapist. We talk about self-development, self-healing, and happier living on the show every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're liking what you're hearing, make sure that you hit me with a favorite so you don't miss any of the shows in the future. And then also favorite Sammy as well. She's a live streamer most mornings at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so you can catch her there. But now Sammy and I are we haven't actually had this conversation in person, not in person, but over a Zoom meeting or phone call, whatever. We haven't had this conversation. This is the first time we're going to talk about this here. We're going to talk a little bit about our self-care habits. So, Sammy, I'll put you on the spot.
Oh, I knew you were gonna do that.
Yeah. So how about we start with this question? We talked about time management last week. Do you put self-care in your schedule? Is that something that you do?
So
It's
yes
okay if you
and
don't.
no. Yes and no. I don't think I like have a solid like this is self-care time except for kind of at night. So everybody that knows me knows that other than doing this show at night, I don't like stream, I don't do anything else. When I get home from work, I do what I got to do and then I relax. I lounge in my bed, I watch TV. That is my me time, and I generally during the week I don't make exceptions for that because I need that time to recharge or I'm not going to make it through my week. So yes and no. I don't. In my head, it's not so structured, but it probably is compared to maybe what some other people are doing. So yes and
Yeah.
no.
So I'll be
How about
honest with you. So I am the type of person where I'll schedule my day out like hour by hour. Like I really do try. Um, but I sometimes will sacrifice my self care for other things. Like if I know that I'm trying to hit 80K for the week, I might like go live instead of trying to do my self-care routines. Sometimes I'll sleep in longer instead of getting up earlier to do what I should do to start my day off in a positive way. I mean, I'm being honest here. I mean, that's why
Yeah.
a lot of the topics we cover, guys, are topics that I feel like I need help with. And that's why we talk about it, because not only is it going to help you guys, but it helps me too. And it's together, that's the title of the show. So yeah, I mean, I could do a way better job at scheduling it. Um, but yeah, so you said what your self-care was. So my self-care for me, so I've been trying to I don't know if Blake Premer's in here or not, but he got me into a book called The Miracle Morning, and I haven't finished it, even though it's not that long of a read. But I've been trying to wake up in the mornings, and even if I don't wake up super early, I usually spend my mornings, I listen to my horoscope on a podcast. I don't care what anyone says. I love that. It kind of it makes me feel like I have a purpose in my morning. Like, okay, this is how my day is going to go, Even though it's probably not the best way to say that's how my day is going to go, but, it's what I do. It is on Spotify.
Yeah, right.
It is on Spotify. I listen to my podcast, and I'll listen to an album called Ghost by Devin Townsend, and I'll just sit there with like outside or whatever with my eyes closed, and I'll just like breathe and listen. And I guess that's kind of my meditation. Either that or I'll listen to some music to pump me up. So that's kind of like my self-care. I love baths with Epsom salt, but I haven't been able to do it with the leg surgery. So I've kind of had to find some other ways. But yeah, so that's kind of like me and Sammy's self-care in a nutshell. If you're just tuning in, my name is Gabby. This is Sammy J, licensed mental health therapist, and today we're talking about self-care. So far, we've covered what self-care is. We talked about some stats and some stats and facts. Goodness gracious. Some stats and facts. We talked about the benefits of self-care, and then Sammy and I just kind of talked about a little bit of our self-care regimens and the good and the bad. So now we're going to talk about why aren't we practicing self-care? So Sammy's stats said that 2/3 of us do not practice self-care, which is a really big number. So that means that most of you don't do it, including me sometimes. So why aren't we practicing it, Sammy? What's the reason?
So I'm going to tell you guys 3 reasons, but I also would like, if anybody would like to like throw in the chat, why don't you practice self-care? If you have moments where you're not practicing, let's see if any of you match up with what I say. So the most common, oh, sorry. No, it was 2. Okay. So the most common 2 are I don't have time and I don't have energy, which is really, really funny because, well, at least for the energy part, if you do self-care, it may actually help you gain some energy. So that's kind of funny that it's an excuse for that. The time thing, I get. It's sometimes really, really hard to make time for self-care. But again, you have to remember that if you're not making time for yourself, everything else is eventually going to fall apart. It may not happen right away, but eventually it's going to all fall apart because that stress is going to build to a level that you can't tolerate anymore. Also, financial situations, I hear that one a lot, especially with the population that I do work with. Financial situations make it really hard sometimes because maybe some of the things we like to engage in for self-care cost some money, or it involves taking time off of work or those kinds of things, which isn't always possible. So it's really important to find simple ways to do self-care so that you're not stuck in that excuse. That's where things like Pinterest and that kind of stuff are maybe really good. Some DIY stuff. And then the last one is feelings of selfishness and guilt. So we've kind of already touched on that, so I'm not going to beat that one too much.
Yeah, well, we'll talk in a little bit more detail about it. So I actually saw Moore pretty much talk. Actually, he kind of brought it up himself. I saw Moore said that he cares for others over himself. And I hear that from a lot of people. I hear that from people that I love on and off this app. I really actually wish that there was a specific person here, but I don't know if she's here, but I won't call her out. But I think it would be a great show for her to watch. But yeah, let's talk a little bit more detail about not having enough time first, and then we'll talk about the selfishness and the guilt. I think that's important to talk about. So Sammy, give us a little bit more insight. I don't have enough time. We talked about time management last week, so if you were here, I think this might be a real review. But if you're new and you haven't been here last week, then this will be something I think important for you to consider.
Yeah, so if you don't have time, quote unquote, that means you're not managing your time effectively, right? There's always time. It's just about figuring out where that time exists. So things that you can do. Write out what you need or want to do. And we talked about this within time management. Prioritize them from urgent, important to not important. Um, Depending on how high your stress level is, you might want to rate your self-care as urgent. So using kind of a ranking scale for how stressed you are, usually I tell people do something simple like 1 to 10, 10 being the highest. How stressed are you? And keep track of that. That way you know, is it urgent or is it just important? That might ebb or flow.
Yeah.
Make sure you pencil in your self-care, write it down. We've talked about this in time management. We talked about this in goal setting. We talked about this in vision boards. If you don't write stuff down, you're less likely to do it. I won't say you're probably not likely, but you are less likely to do it. Even if it's 5 minutes of breathing or a long shower, schedule it and stick to it. Self-care does not have to take a large chunk of your day. It can literally just be 5 minutes. And maybe that's 5 minutes multiple times a day. But hey, if you can only do 5 minutes once a day, it's better than nothing, right? So
Absolutely.
we also want to try to stick to a routine. So if you can just make that self-care the same time every day, it doesn't always have to be the same thing. Sometimes it can be, but at least try to make it the same time in your day every day so that it's just routine. Okay, it's time for self-care. And you don't have to think so much about it. Also, finding time might not be easy, but doing something small each day, week, or even month is a start. Again, doing something is better than doing nothing. So if you can't commit to doing it every day, that's fine. Doing it when you can is better than not doing it at all. But trying to prioritize it more and more in your schedule is going to be the most beneficial to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to talk again. Self-care looks different for everyone. So we'll talk a little bit. You'll kind of notice that with our guests today. We're going to have Cap and Kim Possible join us in the box separately to talk about their self-care, their experiences, how their self-care has changed over time. But we still have to talk about selfishness and guilt. That's one of the reasons why people don't do their self-care. Sometimes people just want to help others over themselves. I already saw people in the comments saying that. Well, here's a quote. Artemis already kind of did it for me, but the quote is, "You must fill your own cup before you can pour into others."
Absolutely.
So yeah, so Sammy, let's dig into this one a little bit more.
Yep. So that is very similar. I'm sure most of you have flown before, or at least have seen funny videos of flight attendants doing their little spiel before you take off on a flight. So we're all familiar with this idea that they say you have to put your mask on if the plane is going down and the oxygen masks drop down. You have to put your oxygen mask on before you put somebody else's oxygen mask on. You can't save other people if you're not helping yourself. You might a little bit, but eventually you're going to flounder. So
that's a good one.
Yeah. Self-care is valid. You are valid for wanting to prioritize that in your life.
I have one more quote to share with you guys. I actually found this. I don't know who the quote's from, but I found this. Some of you guys might know, like 5 months ago, I ended a relationship, and during that relationship, and even after, I wasn't really doing a lot of self-care. I've grown a lot since that happened. But I saw this quote during my healing process, and it really hit me. So you guys know the whole treat others the way that you want to be treated. That's like the golden rule. We all learned that in like preschool, first grade, all through, still bullying, but still
Right.
treat people the way you want to be treated. Think about it this way instead. Treat yourself the way you want other people to treat you. I was hit so hard when I heard that quote. Treat yourself the way that you want people to treat you. So if you wish that somebody was gonna draw you a bath, put some rose petals everywhere, light up some candles, do it for yourself. Don't wait for someone to do it for you. You are worth it. We're all worth it. We all deserve it. So Alien Eve, I'm so happy to see you here. I hope you stay for the rest of the show because this is for you. But seriously, treat yourself the way you want others to treat you.
Yes, yeah. And I have that conversation a lot with people when it comes to their negative self-talk, but I think it kind of goes with the same line you're talking about, right? So if we had a best friend who was telling themselves all these negative things we tell ourselves, we would tell them like, stop, no, you're this great, you're this amazing person. So why aren't we doing that for ourselves? And that's the same with self-care. Self-care can be just self-affirmations, right? Building
Oh
yourself
yeah.
up. So why aren't we doing that for ourselves if we would do it for other people?
Yeah, I agree. And that is one thing to talk about a little bit. The way you talk to yourself is so important, man. I mean, seriously, I hear people that I love saying that they're stupid, saying that they're ugly, saying that they're fat. And I'm just like, dude, you're such a beautiful person. If you would tell yourself every day that you're beautiful and that you're worthy, you start to believe it. And it sounds crazy, but seriously, try that sometime, guys. I was in a position where someone said you should do that, and I was like, oh, that's silly. Well, I started doing it every day, and my confidence level is boosted tremendously. So I recommend trying it. It might feel
It feels
embarrassing and weird.
Yeah, it feels a little funny at first, especially if you're not like, I'm a person that I'm like really averse to compliments. It just feels weird and funky to
I
me.
felt
So
that.
it's
I
gonna
felt
feel
that.
weird at first, but if you say it enough, you're gonna start believing it.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you guys are just tuning in, my name is Gabby, and this is Sammy J, licensed mental health therapist, and this is In It Together with Gabby and Sammy.
Yay,
We do
you
this show
made it,
every.
you're here.
We did it. Yeah. Thank you guys for being here. We're about to have our guests join us. We're talking about self care tonight. We have Cap, who's going to join us first in the box, and followed by Kim Possible. After they tell us about their self care regimens and they talk to us a little bit about their journeys as well as how their self care has changed over time, we're going to have one more pop quiz. We're going to talk in more detail about how to take care of yourself through self care. And then for my folks who have anxiety, like me, we have a special segment for you at the end to kind of help you take control of your anxiety in high stress situations. That is self care, by the way. Trying to
Definitely.
get your anxiety in check. That is health care. Healthcare, that too. That's healthcare too, but self care, yeah.
Self-care. That
I
works.
I cannot talk today. All right, guys. So let's get our first guest
Hard.
in the box. Cap, if you're ready to join us,
Yep.
it's time to get you in here. Talk about your self care.
I just realized Cap has the same birthday as my sister. Let's go, Cap.
Yeah, we're both Libras. That Libra energy is strong over here.
Yes, Libra energy. Yes.
Yes.
I
The
Hello.
gang. That's right. It's Libra season.
How's it going?
It's going wonderful. I just like being like about to be on the show after all of the like neglecting of self-care that I've been doing over the past like 2 weeks, moving and getting stuff like in order to be in a new place 2 hours away from where I grew up my whole life. Like I had to just kind of pack up and go get a new job. I'm like, I'm gonna be on the show today, so let me like go do some self-care real quick,
Yeah.
like because I can't get on here and talk about self-care without like without having like, so I like walked over to like the bay and I like sat there for like 10-15 minutes. I was like, all right, now I can talk about this without being a like you know like I could talk about self-care without like feeling bad about myself. Like, so
And how did that feel, Cap? How did that self-care feel?
it felt great. I mean, honestly, it was beautiful. I like went right around sunset, and over here, like the sky just lights up because I'm on the west coast of Florida. It's beautiful. It was just very nice to sit and reflect over how hard I've worked over the past 2 weeks to like be able to just sit with my thoughts and kind of gather my brain back from the nonstop work I've been putting in for the past 2 weeks. Um, it was nice, very
Very,
rewarding.
Love
very
it.
good. So I know we kind of just jumped the gun here, but for those of us who don't know you, introduce yourself. Let us know a little bit about you.
Um, I am Cap. I have been streaming for about a year or so. I've met so many wonderful people on this app. And some of them who are in here who I didn't even expect to see. It's great to see some of the names and faces. You know, still like kind of doing this thing and trying to remain positive. I know there's a lot of things that go on, in everybody's lives that, take you away from the friendships that you've made here on the internet. But like, I mean, it's really cool. It's really, really cool. Like, it's brought me together with so many people who I've met on and off the app, who I've spoken with, um, on and off the app. And I feel that like they say, your vibe attracts your tribe. I really feel that like the energy that I bring to the table has attracted so many amazing people, and I've been drawn to so many amazing people based on, personality alone. And I feel like it's a like this app itself has been a very big accountability like holder for some of us, and this is great right here, especially this being on the show today.
Yeah, thank you so much. I know that you're going through a lot of change right now, so I'm really glad
Big
that you
changes.
this I'm glad good changes. I'm glad that you're able to kind of put us into your schedule tonight. That was awesome. So
Honestly.
I actually don't really know Cap that well, to be honest with you. I've never been to his live stream, but we had an opportunity to have a phone call the other day, and he's an awesome person. So make sure you guys hit him with that favorite.
I
So
appreciate that.
you kind of answered this question a little bit already, but I'm just gonna kind of ask you,
Okay.
in your opinion, why do you think that people don't practice self care as much as they should?
um I saw what more I think more hit it on the head for me personally. Like sometimes I'm a caregiver, I'm a nurse, so I spend most of my day doing that for other people. And then I get out of work and I find my like listening to people who are going through relationship stuff. It's like oftentimes I just forget to take care of myself. There's not enough time. I run out of time. I wouldn't say that there's not enough. I think I need to do a better job of prioritizing um, my time, but it just happens sometimes. Like you just go and you're like, all of a sudden you look down and you're like, oh man, I gotta go to bed, and you just forget to take time to take care of yourself.
I hear
So
ya. Well, then
between,
this.
mhm,
Oh,
go
sorry.
ahead.
You can keep, are you sure?
No, no, no,
The
no. I'm
Libra,
done.
the
Yeah,
Libra thing. We're like, are you sure you can go? You want to
yeah,
go?
yeah,
You?
yeah. Yeah, exactly.
um. Uh, so that kind of leads into my next question. Do you try to schedule your time management, or do you just kind of like
Um,
find the time? Like, oh, this sounds like a good time.
That's it. It usually just comes about. Like I'm very spontaneous when it comes to my self-care. Like when I've just like had enough and I feel myself like starting to wear down mentally, I'm like, all right, I need to take 5 or I need to take 10 or I need to take 20, 30, whatever it may be. I mean, most of the time I'll find the time to do it on my days off. Um, um, I do a whole lot of nothing. that's,
That, yeah,
that's
I would argue that's self care for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So no, I don't really schedule it in. I don't really schedule. I need to do a better job at that.
I think we all do. If you heard
Yeah,
me earlier, you heard me.
yeah. I really
Um.
need to start doing a better job for sure.
So when you practice self care, what does that look like for you?
For me, it's really like finding a nice quiet place to sit with my thoughts. Uh, I've tried to get into meditation and other things, breath work. Artemis is here, but it's really hard. I haven't like I feel like I really need to schedule that kind of thing. So whenever I do get in the moment where I'm like, all right, I need to take time, I'll like drive to the beach or I'll drive to a body somewhere near a body of water, whether it be a lake, the intercoastal, the ocean. I just like to go sit, and I'll go and I'll sit there and I'll either listen to music or I'll listen to the water, um, and just kind of like get my mind right and unclutter my mind, declutter my mind. That's self care for me. Also, like going to the gym, that always is another great thing. Also, doing absolutely nothing, laying on the couch. I'm a big believer of vegging. I love that. That is also amazing.
Veg
Resting as
out.
much as I can because I'm on my feet. I walk around a lot on the job, and you know, I'm big. My family is very close, so oftentimes I feel myself, oh, we have this family event. That's another thing. It's just like you kind of just forget to take care of yourself. You're too busy attending events or being here for somebody else that I just so that's what self care looks like for me is just kind of relaxing, going to the beach, and just clearing my mind.
What I would say
Absolutely.
too, I think nursing and therapy, we share a lot of similar like characteristics within our job. Like, we're constantly problem solving. When you're constantly problem solving, your brain is constantly going. So it's like, you just want to not think. Can I just sit here and not think for a while? So
Yeah.
I feel.
I know, it's actually funny. We're all healthcare workers in this box right
Yeah.
now.
I know, I love it. I love it. The healthcare, there's so many of us on this app. There's so many nurses, therapists. It's because like I feel like by the time we're so tired by the time we're done dealing with everyone else that we like come here and it's like so much easier to just go, hey, let me talk to somebody. Like
Well, sometimes talking to someone is self-care for sure.
yeah.
I don't know. I could argue that going live can be self-care.
You
Maybe.
know
As
what?
long as you're doing it the right way.
If you have the right people around you and you have the right people that come to your lives consistently, I agree completely.
Mm-hmm.
So this is kind of just going off of what we said earlier about like some of the reasons people don't practice self-care, and obviously you work, you live for people, you work for people to, have healthier lives. Do you ever feel guilt when you practice self-care, or do you ever not practice because of the feeling of guilt or selfishness?
Um, I like yes and no. Um, like there'll be times where like, oh, like this friend really needs me, but I'm like, but like, how do I give energy if I don't have it anymore, you know?
Hmm.
So like I really I'm feeling less and less guilt for saying no, um, and just kind of taking that time for myself and just getting recharging my own battery before I try
Yeah,
to give it to someone else.
absolutely,
And
absolutely.
I tell people to do the same. It's like don't come and try to be here for me. I don't want to put my stuff on you when you need to take care of yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So, how has your self-care changed over time? I know you kind of mentioned now you go to the beach, you try to go to the gym, try to meditate when you can. Has that always been your self-care?
Not necessarily. I had a different definition of what I thought self-care was in my early 20s. Uh, I thought that immersing myself around friends, drinking and going out and distracting myself from real reality was self-care. And I think that my definition has changed drastically over the years.
Yeah.
Like you say, filling your own cup, not with alcohol, and
Right.
and
Sparkling water, maybe.
with love and water. And oh goodness gracious, we lost light. It's fine.
Technical
Tripping over
difficulties.
All right,
tripping over your
Cap, did you have a
wires.
drink
Too
It's
before the
much.
fine.
show?
I just oh wow, I uncrossed my legs. It's fine. All right. We're back. Okay, anyways, yeah, filling your own cup, not with alcohol. Yeah, and just like working out rather than going out. You know, and staying in rather than, keeping to yourself rather than trying to immerse yourself with other people. I feel like my alone time is, whereas being around people used to be self-care for me. I mean, and it can be, but now I'm more of like I want to be by myself with my thoughts.
No, I hear ya. I actually just recently moved by myself after being with someone for two
Sure.
years, and honestly, the clarity and like the love I have for myself is just like really taken off. So I hear that. Is there
I like
anything
that you
else?
brought up that word distraction too. We're going to talk more about
Yeah,
distractions.
yeah, we are going to talk about
Yeah.
distractions, about like people kind of like that might be dealing with some anxiety, like you have a high stress
Yeah.
job. So we're
And
going to talk a little bit about how a distraction could potentially be self-care.
yes.
Potentially.
No, I mean it can, and I agree. Like I don't want to cut off people from my life, but sometimes you just need to communicate with those people and just say, look, now is not the time. I need to just take care of myself. I hope you understand. And that's it. That's simple
Boundaries.
communication, right?
Boundaries. We love
Yeah,
boundaries on the show.
of course.
Boundaries.
Is there anything else that you'd like to add, Cap, before we end this interview?
Not really. Listen, I want to just thank you so much for having me on the show. It's really like honestly, now like it happened in perfect timing. It's a perfect reminder for right now, this point in time in my life, for me to start taking better care of myself. Um, You know, now that I'm getting settled in a new area with a new job, I can start penciling that time in, making time for myself, so that everything comes together. I love it. Thank you so much for having me on, guys. It's been
Thank you
great.
so much for being here. I'm glad that we're able to
No,
help you.
thank you.
Guys, if you don't already
Helping
have
many
Cat
others too.
favorited, please hit him with a favorite. I hope that we're helping everybody in the chat right now. We do have one more guest to come up here. Please hit Cap with the favorite. Join his
Thank
streams. He's
you.
awesome.
All right.
Cap, thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you so much. I'll kick myself out. Thank you guys. Thank you.
Bye. So if you guys just tuning in, this is In It Together with Gabby and Sammy. I'm Gabby. This is Sammy J, mental health therapist. We're chatting about self-care today, and now we have our second guest, Kim Possible, to give us her perspective.
Hello.
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 How you doing, Kim?
I'm great. Just had a long day. Did a lot of self-care today.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that. Kim, tell us who you are for those of us who don't know you.
Okay, so my name's Kim, and I've been streaming on the app since March 2020, and I do a show on the app called Rewind, which where I bring 3 guests on, and they talk about and they choose 3 songs, and they talk about how they connect to them and stories behind them.
Cool, thank you, Kim. I was actually on that show. It's a really good show. You should check it out sometime. So Kim, I'm gonna just kind of ask you some of the same questions I asked Kat. So why, in your opinion, rather it's a personal experience or just your opinion in general, why do you think that most people don't practice self-care?
I think it's because they just have so much going on, and they forget, like, for like for me, it's just like I'll just be like, oh, I'm gonna go do this, and then it's just like you get distracted with something else, and then you just never get it done, and it's just like it's just there on the back burner.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I hear that. I
That
agree.
scheduling comes in, right? Like if you don't schedule it, if you have it scheduled, then you can't get distracted, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
Kim, you watched last week's show on time management, didn't you? I believe I saw you there.
Yeah.
So for those of you who weren't here for time management last week, we did talk about self-care being something you should stick in your schedule. Kim is a very busy person. She's a student. She's a live streamer. I know she performs sometimes, and who else knows what's going on in your life? Do you schedule time care into your day?
I actually do. I mean, I don't schedule a lot of it, but I do schedule some of it. Um, like, for example, I do like a morning routine where, like, when I wake up in the morning, I will literally just put on music and like listen in my headphones and just like lay in bed for like maybe an hour or two, or until I get sick of listening to music. It's kind of like my coffee for the morning, because I don't drink coffee. I'm not a coffee person. I don't drink morning beverages, so it's like my coffee. If I don't have my music, then I'm not gonna have a good day.
I hear that. I start off my day with music too. And music's a really big part of my life and my self-care. So let me see. So you kind of already answered what self-care looks like for you. So you really are into music and waking up, or do you wake up super early? Are you like a morning person?
I am a morning person.
I wish.
It's just like it's just like it grew on me, because I just always had to wake up early for like school and stuff. So it just like kind of became a part of, and like when you do something so much, your body just gets immune to it over time, and it's just
I hear
you. Never happened.
So how has your self-care changed throughout your life, like compared to now? So now you like to listen to music and kind of just like, we'll use the term Cap use, that you like to veg out in the mornings. Just kind of relax, veg out, listen to some music. Has that always been your self-care routine, or is there something maybe you've done in the past that's different, or maybe anything like that?
I mean, I guess in my early 20s, I was just very different. Like I was like what people don't know about me is I do struggle with anxiety, and I got diagnosed with anxiety and also a celiac disease when I was in my early 20s. So that came when I was like you know so that came like when I was like in the middle of like like a time in my life where like I wanted to go out and do things, but then also I had to figure out how to take care of myself because it was so new to me, everything. So when you get new things thrown into your life, you just kind of have to learn how to self-care, and like you really have to take the time out. Like I took so much time out for college, which is why I'm in college at 31 years old right now, because I had to take time to really sit down and self-care for myself and like figure out how to manage and take things under my belt to say. And yeah.
Wow. Yeah, so you've been on a journey because you've had some pretty drastic changes in your life. So before, I know you and I talked on the a little bit about how you used to be more likely to go do things with big crowds and
Yeah.
maybe not so much these days. So you've kind of had to make that adjustment, which and unfortunately you've had to make some sacrifices, but you're a positive person, so you're doing something right. So I'm proud of
Yeah.
you for making those kinds of changes. I know that really had to have been difficult. She killed it in Michigan. I've heard great things about your trip in Michigan. I wish that I was there. Next year I'm coming, so don't worry about it. I'm gonna be there. But so thank you for sharing. By the way, thank you for sharing that. You had to get pretty vulnerable to share that on the show. So thank you so much for feeling comfortable to share that. Um, Sammy, do you have anything to add by chance?
So I'm a little curious. Do you think your self-care changes any, like when your anxiety is more escalated versus like maybe when it's more under control? Do you think there's a difference in the self-care you choose?
Definitely. Like when my anxiety heightens, I definitely like have to like be like, oh, I need to do this like right now, and I need to take care of like prioritize this like right now. Like if I'm in the middle of a mall and I have an anxiety attack, then I know like, oh, I need to go like sit down or lay down or something. I need to
Mhm.
go just like it's or I just have to like try and like put myself first and like try and make sure that I'm not overworking myself.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
the urgency goes up. Do the activities change any, the things that you choose to engage in?
Um, yeah, yeah, they do. Like, I mean, like, because I, because I just like to look at it as like, um, um, if I keep letting my anxiety tell me that I'm that that it's dangerous to be somewhere or something just because it's happening, then I feel like I'm never gonna be able to do that again. So I try and just try and go sit out for a little bit, and then I will go and push through or and make it through whatever I'm doing because if I keep telling myself, oh, I can't do this, then I'm never gonna be able to do it because it's I'm telling my brain and rewiring my brain to be like, no, you're never. This is dangerous. This is not what you're supposed to be doing.
Right, right. I absolutely love that you said I take a break, but then I go back to it, right? Because exactly what you're saying, if you just escape it and then you don't go back to it, you're just reinforcing that fear, right? So that anxiety is going to build and build more and more every time you do it. So
Exactly.
it's okay to take a break. It's okay to say I need a break, but then going back to it so that you teach your brain it's not as bad as I thought it was, right? I just needed a minute to like get myself together.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome. I
it's
love
funny. We've actually talked about when we did the show on anxiety, and then we reviewed it again when we came back to season two. One of the things was it was a way you can help your friends who are feeling anxious, and one of them was to not enable them and take them away from these dangerous situations, because they're going to probably end up having more anxiety about it and they might never be able to really do it ever again. So that was a really good point you brought up, Kim. I was happy. I knew Sammy was going to be happy about it too. I was like, man, she hit it right on the head.
Yes, go Kim, go Kim.
Yeah. Well, good job being mindful of that, Kim. I know what you go through. It's gotta be difficult. I have an anxiety disorder too, and sometimes it feels like the world is just crashing around you, and literally it doesn't have to be anything crazy, but to you it's like super drastic. So proud of you for being able to get that under control. Is there anything else that you would like to add or plug, Kim?
I'll just say thank you for having me on the show. And I will plug my show again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rewind. It's on Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And if anybody wants to be on the show, just hit me up on my Instagram. It's in my bio on here. And yeah.
Yeah, definitely check out her show, guys. Hit her with a favorite. I've been on her show before, and I thought it was really fun. Actually, Moore and I were both on it together, and it was fun. So definitely check it out sometime. Yeah, Kim, thank you for being here. I know like you both are like such busy people, so it's so cool to be able to have you here. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a good one, Kim. So, guys, if you're just tuning in, this is In It Together with Gabby and Sammy. I'm Gabby, and this is Sammy J, licensed mental health therapist. And so far, we've had a pretty good show. We have about 15 minutes left. But let's just review. If you guys are tuning in late, let's see what you missed. So we were talking about self-care today. Our goal is to provide education, resources, tips, and interviews to you guys about different topics we cover. We like to promote self-development, self-healing, and happier living. So that's what we're doing today by talking about self-care. So we talked about what self-care was. We talked about some stats and facts of self-care, some benefits. Sammy and I talked about some of our habits. We talked about why people aren't doing it as much as they should be. And then we had Cap and Kim Possible both join us for a couple of great interviews. So thank you guys for the good conversation. I hope that getting different perspectives is able to maybe give you guys a different perspective on self-care. So I'd be interested to see what you guys are doing for self-care for the rest of the week. Message me on Instagram, DM me on Instagram, and let me know what you're doing this week for your self-care. So let's talk about first of all, actually, I have a pop quiz for you. This is the last pop quiz of the night. It is multiple choice. So which of the following is a sign of stress? A, improved mood. B, clear thoughts. C, headaches. D, restful sleep. So which of them is a sign of stress? Yeah, headaches. I'm the queen of headaches. I have headaches constantly, and it's probably because I'm stressed out all the time. So, I got to work on that. A lot of us got to work on that probably. So good job, guys. Stop stressing. Oh, the stress just leaving my body. Thanks, Alien Eve. Appreciate it. The stress is gone. Now I have no more stress. Oh, it's like magic.
Magic.
Oh, that was the best self-care ever. Alien Eve saying, just stop being stressed. Oh, thanks, girl.
Works just like that, right? There's that easy button. That was easy.
Easy. So yeah, guys, we're gonna talk a little bit about stress and how Kim, geez, Kim's gone. Sammy's here though, guys, and that's who I'm trying to talk to. Sammy's in it.
Just say hey you.
Hey you. You little therapist, you. So taking care of yourself through self-care. Let us know a little bit about what I mean by that, Sammy J.
Yeah. So first we need to understand how stress affects you. So that goes back to this question, right? What are some signs of stress? What are signs that you guys are stressed? Can you write any signs that you guys experience yourself? Let's see if they match up with what our facts tell us about stress.
Yeah, headaches for sure. That's one. Yeah, how do you know when you guys are stressed? What's going on? What's going on, guys? Are you stressed right now? I can't concentrate. Literally everything. Yeah. So I notice that my muscles get really tense and I get like body aches and stuff when I'm stressed.
I get
or hair breakage in the shower.
Yes, the hair is a huge one for me. I lose a lot of hair to begin with, but I lose a lot more when I'm stressed. So yeah, headaches, decreased energy, upset stomach, and regulatory issues, aches and pains, tense muscles, insomnia, all those kinds of things are physical signs that you are stressed. Plus all the things you guys are saying. None of those are wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we want to work on protecting our physical health when we notice these physical signs. So we can do things like we can exercise, we can eat better meals. So we have lots of shows for you guys to go back and review if those are things you want to do. We have shows on nutrition and all kinds of different exercises. Get enough good quality sleep. We have a show on that one too.
I love that show. It's one of my favorites. Just saying.
Avoid alcohol and drugs. Practice relaxation methods. We have a couple on that one too. So yeah, all these things are good ways to protect your physical health. We also want to work on practicing good mental habits. So we kind of already touched on this a little bit, but notice the positive. Notice the positive. Acknowledge the good things that happen to you, and that alone can improve your day. If we can just stay focused on the good things that are going on, it's not going to fix the problems in our life, but they're going to help us have a better perspective on what's going on. Recall the good parts of your day through journaling. Even if the only good thing was it was sunny today, you can always find something good that happened. Even if it didn't happen directly to you, it can be around you. It could be something you witnessed. Fill your cup not with alcohol, absolutely, Cap. It counts and it's a good start. Also, we want to work on avoiding guilt. We've already really touched on that one a lot. It's not abnormal to have thoughts or bad feelings. We want to practice our mindfulness, being present-centered, being in the moment, being aware of what's going on around us. Be aware that you're having the feelings and accept them without judgment. Remember that judgment-free zone. Then choose how to respond. You'll feel more in control. That's really, really important in avoiding that guilt. Also, gather strength from others. Join support groups. Ask others to help or get advice from. Stay connected with family or friends. So that kind of goes back to my tip of the day. So it did fit in more than I thought it actually did. Was making that list of your people, right? We talked about that at the beginning. Have that list of who are your people. Know that list well.
Absolutely. So Sammy, thank you very much. So now, guys, let's talk about what is self-care? Let's give some examples. So guys, what do you do for self-care? Put it in the chat. It's individualized to all people. As long as it makes you happy, makes you feel energized, allows you to relax or reduce your stress. I'm sure that you guys do a lot more self-care than you think. I would probably do my vape over the cup. Okay, vaping is not self-care, Alien Eve. Meditation, okay. Meditation, there we go. We're good. Good job, Eve. I tell myself every day I need to stop, and then I get more. Oh, talking about the stress. Wow, going on a walk, doing a face mask. Cody doesn't even know. You see that guy? He's like, I don't know. Singing, absolutely. Singing is self-care. Breath work is self-care. Hiking, yeah, absolutely. Going to the beach, like Cap said, crying. I think personally, sometimes I need to cry. I'm the person, so listen.
It's cathartic.
The other day, I needed to cry. I knew that I was having a bad time, so I put on some music that was very sad and makes me cry. And I had a cry sesh, and I don't care what anybody says. That was self-care for me, okay?
Yeah. Well, I think there's something very important about knowing that you have control over your emotions, right? To be able to sit down and say, I need to cry, so I'm going to let myself cry for a certain amount of time, and then I'm going to end it and wrap it up and not just have like random crying fits in the middle of Walmart.
Right.
That's the difference, right? Like you have control over it. You chose to interact. You chose to do it, and there's nothing wrong with crying. It's just we want to have control over when it happens.
More Miserable promises all of you that who will never make you cry, for the record. I actually don't cry often, so it could be an issue. Yeah, Alien Eve, I felt that. It's very harmful to hold in the tears and emotion that will take so much. Yeah, I agree, Micah. Absolutely. I cannot watch sad dog videos. Yeah, every time I watch a TikTok and somebody comes home from like the military and their dog is like, oh my god, home, and they jump in their arms. Tears.
I refuse. I can't do it.
Absolutely lost it every time. But yeah, guys, so thank you for sharing some of your self-care with us. So just to list some things, and this is different for all people. Some of the stuff I list, you might be like, I would never do that for my self-care. You know what I mean? The first one is one I'm sure a lot of you people will have different different feelings about, but cleaning is self-care. Cleaning your house, cleaning your room, that's self-care. Meditating is self-care. Cooking or baking, if it's something you love and you're passionate about, is self-care. Getting a massage, which by the way, I really need to do very soon. Listening to a podcast, listening to music that you love, going for a walk, reading a book, taking a bath, yoga, making art, um, breathing exercises. So that's all self-care. But guys, this is the last thing we're going to cover on the show today. These are for my anxiety folks. I have, and I don't care. I mean, I talk about this openly. I have a show about mental health with Sammy J. I have a mental health.
Okay, we do. What? When
This is
did that happen?
this is a mental health show.
Is it? What?
No,
Oh,
it's a self healing show. I'm sorry, meet me. It's a self healing show. Anyway, this is a self healing show. But anyway, so for those of us who might have anxiety, whether you have a disorder or you have maybe a very stressful job as a nurse and you are in the midst of COVID and you're going absolutely crazy because you don't know how to deal with it because you're feeling anxiety. I don't care what job you have. You work in fast food. I don't care what you do. You're on a timer and you're busy. It's crazy and you get anxious. What do you do to kind of manage that anxiety? So managing your anxiety, especially when you might be in the midst of a panic attack, is self-care.
Yeah.
So Sammy's going to kind of talk to us a little bit about distraction as a strategy to kind of cope with anxiety. And I know Cap kind of mentioned, or actually Kim and Cap both mentioned distractions being good and bad. And here's the good of it.
Yes. So distraction is a double-headed coin. I have this conversation a lot with clients. So on the good side of distraction, it is kind of what we were talking about with Cap, right? Like that ability to just like be able to turn your brain off and just focus on something else for a little bit. Sometimes you need that. I would argue that people that are like in the middle of something traumatic or very, very difficult, that's like an ongoing thing. Sometimes they have to engage in distraction to get to the other side of whatever that event is, because you can't process those things when you're in the middle of it. So they have to just use distractions until they can get through it, and then they can process like, what is it that was going on? How was I really affected by it? But when you're in the middle of it, it's not, you can't do those things. So distractions are probably the most important during those times. So they have their place for sure. I will caution people though that distractions are very, I feel like when I envision distractions, it's kind of like a siren, like those old, like those mythical creatures, the sirens, that sometimes it can lead you to bad things, right? I just had this conversation with a client today. She was like, I don't know where all my time goes. Like my time is gone. I haven't completed anything. I just don't know what's going on. Where is all my time going? And she's engaging in a lot of distractions. So distractions sometimes are very consume us because they feel so good to get away from some of these things. So they can have really negative effects too. So you gotta watch with that. But I do think distractions definitely have their place for sure. As long as you're not avoiding everything fully and it's at some point addressing them, right?
Yeah, for sure. So one person's self-care is another person's distraction strategy. So here's though, I'll list off some things that you might actually, maybe I'll ask you guys again. What do you do if you're ever feeling anxious? What is something you do that helps you reduce your anxiety? What is a distraction you use? So for me, if I'm feeling really anxious, I usually just go like sit away from like everything, like a lot of stimulus, a lot of sounds, a lot of people, and a lot of like being on a timer triggers me pretty bad. So I just have to leave and go breathe and listen to some music or talk to a friend. So that's my distraction. Smoke cannabis. I don't think you should call that a distraction. Hopefully you're using it for medical purposes.
I would say for me, it's like I get lost in a drama, some kind of drama or mystery TV show, movie, those kinds of things where I can like pretend to be someone else for a little bit and get involved in their mess. So that is my distraction. I don't have to focus on me. I can just like sit and observe, and yeah.
More likes to volunteer, gives you energy. That's all good. Good. Hit the beach. So actually, some of us talked about some of them. So I'm just going to list off some of these distraction strategies to deal with anxiety. So calling a friend, but don't talk about what's stressing you out. You don't want to think about it, so don't talk about it. Watch TV. Try something new that maybe you've never tried before. Hold ice. That's one I hear a lot too. If you're feeling really anxious, so you're having a panic attack, hold ice. It kind of like switches your senses up a little bit. Once
You can
some
do
of these things
anything
are,
with your senses for that one, actually. So
yeah,
not
mhm.
physical. You can do. Am I stealing your thunder on that?
No, because that's actually a few down. No, it's perfect actually. That's a perfect time to bring that up. Using your 5 sentences, using like the mindfulness meditation, mindfulness walk. So like what you
Yeah.
see, what you smell, what you hear, what you taste. So I think that I've listed 4. I don't remember the
Well,
fifth
and
one,
even
but
going like more on like holding ice is like something that's shocking to your system, but you
yeah.
can do that with other senses, right? So like taste, we can eat something sour, and sometimes that shocking sourness in our mouth. So like it might at work, I keep a jar of toxic waste candy. I don't know if anybody's had that. It's kind of like warheads. You know, if
Oh.
somebody's really lost in something, I can give them one of those, and that kind of brings them back. It grounds them a little bit. So you can do that with multiple other senses too.
I'm laughing because Alien Eve used that as a distraction today, I think. Ask Alien Eve about her warhead experience when you see her later. But yeah, I mean, as long as you're not, ripping your tongue to shreds, definitely a good one.
Everything in moderation, right?
Taking hot showers, taking cold showers, creating something, going out to eat, doing a puzzle, making a list of things. So I don't know if you guys have ever seen Atypical. It's a show on Netflix about a boy who has autism, and one of his things when he gets nervous, he lists off the different penguins. So listing off movies or songs or whatever you decide to do, it's kind of just a distraction strategy when you're feeling anxious. And then volunteering is on here too. So more so that he likes to volunteer. That's on the list too. So yeah, guys, that is self-care in a nutshell. Did you guys feel like you learned anything today? Hit a 1 if you've learned something today, or if it's somehow you have been positively impacted by this episode. Yay, I'm seeing a lot of 1s. I'm really happy that you guys are here. I like this episode a lot, although this is the lowest amount of views we've ever had. I actually think this was an excellent show, and that I'm hoping you guys learned a lot. I know that doing this helped me learn a lot too. So thank you guys for being here. Is there anything that you'd like to add, Sammy, before we kind of start? I need to, make sure everyone who gifted me and commented, I want to make sure I give you guys, the gratitude you deserve.
No, I just want to thank everybody for being here. If you have follow-up questions or concerns, please feel free to come to my stream, ask questions. If it hits you at 2:00 in the morning, you're like, I need to ask Sammy this question. I don't mind follow-up conversations to these streams. And thank you for everybody that gifted me. I don't have a lovely list to thank you from, but thank you. You know who you are.
Absolutely. And also shout out to Cap and Kim for being great guests and for fitting us into their busy lives to be here tonight. We positively impacted both of them, and they've both confirmed that. So awesome. We're doing something right on the show, guys. So thank you for being here. For next week, we're going to be talking about, this is a new one. We didn't tell anybody yet. Look out for us. We might be contacting you if you're a show creator. We're going to talk about the shows on Meet Me and how they benefit the community. That's our topic next week. So look out for us. Me and Sammy might be tracking you down if you're a show creator. And if you'd like to be on the show, please reach out if you're a show creator and you would like to if you think that your show impacts the community in a positive way, this would be a good show for you to get on. So.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Thank you for being here. Shout out to my gifters, Alien Eve, Brooke Falls, and DJ Norcal are my top 3. And also shout out to Kat, Mormizarov, Mare Bear, who I love, by the way. I just kind of met her the other day. Culinary, Raina, Artemis, Dalt Disney, Bath, Paulo, Charm Charlie, oh hey. Thank you guys so much for all the love. Yeah, guys, this is the end of the show now. So I'm just going to be live now for a little bit.